Hi, today's video on composite restorations is class 1 through 5, and we'll be going over a couple questions today. So number 1, what is something new that you observed while watching videos on composite restorations? Number 1, every dentist has their own technique and preferred tools and way of doing things. So if you go to an office, you're definitely you'll know some of it, but they will tell you what they want and what their technique is. So yeah, in the end, it all looks great though. Number 2, composite, the different colors of it. The only one you kind of want to be careful of is transparent, because if you use it on an anterior teeth and you use too much of it, it can make the tooth appear gray instead of tooth colored, because when the light hits it, it just makes it very see-through instead of tooth colored. Number 3, apparently resin can shrink up to 2 to 5% when it cures. So yeah. Number 2, what different types of matrices did you see being used? Well, I saw anchors being used. I saw G rings and V rings, which are like retainerless matrix, but they're more just wires. There's not so much a plastic end on them. Also, I saw polyester film, like a mylar strip. Also, I saw mylar strips being used. This one, it comes like in a dental floss type, and you pull it out, you rip a piece off, and then you curl it with the end of a cotton plier or a mirror. Also, some didn't even use a matrix. They just worked on the tooth and didn't need one, or they basically created their own shape when they got it. They would work on the tooth and then they'd carve it. That's more on anterior teeth though. And some wrapped a band. If you're working on this tooth, they would put a band around this one next to it to create the wall without really affecting this tooth. And I saw gingival retraction cord is isolation, which is our next one. But some didn't even use a matrix. Like I said, depends. They would contour their own, which I thought was pretty cool. Also for wedges, I will say it here, round wedges, there are round wedges, and those are for more shallow restorations. And for the ones actually shaped like wedges, those are for more deep. And apparently wood contours more naturally to a tooth shape. So that's what's been said in some of these videos, so that's why they prefer them. What types of isolations being used? Mostly rubber dam. A lot of rubber dam, especially on posterior teeth. Gingival retraction cord for the class 5 at the sulcus. Cotton rolls to help. And for class, and that's about it for types of isolations. I mostly just stuck with the basics. What was the basic steps and orders for this procedure? It would be very impossible to tell you each technique that each dentist used, because some loved when they would drill out a hole where they would drill out the tooth, they would move it, like this is the part of the tooth, they would push the composite in like this, cusp to cusp, and then cure it. Or some would start at the pulpal floor and work their way up. So we'll just go through the basic steps, and I'll go through some of the unique ones at the bottom. Number 1, drill into the enamel and to, map out where your cavities are, or not, the work needs to be done. We're doing class 1 type, the one I'm describing now, which is kind of the easiest. There are some more, the other ones can be a little more difficult. We're just doing a class 1, which is on the occlusal of a posterior tooth. So we can drill out the enamel. You're going to want to roughen up the enamel edges. And once you get that all prepped up, you're going to want to apply phosphoric acid. And there's different levels, so you need to read the manufacturer instructions on how long. It was about I think 20 to, I want to say 40 seconds. Or no, and some said 15 to 20, so it's just different on each one. And then you're going to want to clean that up with an HVE and water. You're going to want to clean that out to get that smear layer off. And then you're going to want to leave it a little moist, because you don't want to hurt those dental tubules. Then you're going to want to adhere an adhesive with a micro brush onto the tooth, and then you're going to air thin the bond and then you're going to cure it a little loosely. You're going to cure it, and you'll finally get your composite gun. By now you've matched up your shades, and you're going to, my computer, you're going to match up, where am I? You got your shades matched up, so you get your composite, already. You're going to put it in the tooth. It's like I said, some dentists push it off put it to the side like this. This is the tooth and this is the emptied out. They'll put it in like this and then they'll cure it, and some go from the bottom and go up. And I'll talk to you at the end about some who make a wall with the composite. We'll get onto that. So then we put that in, condense it in to make sure it's nice and tight. And you can cure it. You want to cure it, I don't want to say more longer than 20 seconds. Then you'll keep layering, and they'll contour it, make it look nice, use an Explorer, and they'll make it look as natural as they can with burnishers and stuff like that. And then for the final layer, they're going to cure it for about 40 seconds. The other layers were about 20 and under. This will be about for 40 because it's the final layer. And they can contour it with a round or a football burnisher. They'll check it with an Explorer, and they can finish it with a polishing point, green to yellow to white. That's how the system works. And yeah, and then also on the inner proximal, they'll use sandpaper discs. Probably seen them on the mandrels. And when they do it, here's the tooth, and they're gonna want to go, they said material to tooth. So that's the way to describe it. So here's the tooth, and maybe the material's out here. So you're gonna want to scrape it like that. You're not gonna want to go tooth to material or it look more unnatural. The only different types of ways that they would do it is the retention grooves are very important for class 5 and class 4 because there's not a whole lot for them to grab the tooth to grab onto. I know it can look like here's the tooth, but it does need retention grooves where amalgam already has the retention groove built into it. Can't really make a shape. And some for class 2, I've seen some dentists, they would have a matrix put up, and they would make a wall with the composite, and then they would take out the matrix and they would work from there, and that's how they liked doing that. And different, like I said, I will show you a picture on my computer. So for class 4, on the anterior teeth, because you want them to look nice, we're almost done with this, I promise, but it's really class 4 because composite is mostly for aesthetics, and we want their teeth to look very, very nice. And if for trauma, we want the tooth to look very natural. So the dentist will probably map out their tooth something like, let me see if I can turn this around. Oh, maybe I'll have to turn it around the other way, sorry. Like this. Oops, sorry, my tooth, it looks very bad. So this part right here is all missing, and this is going to be where they put the translucent, and this is going to be where they put a dentin shade, and then they're going to put another dentin shade, and this little notch right here is going to create what they call a halo effect to make the tooth look more natural. And that's where, and this last one is where they'll put the more tooth colored shade. But when they do this, since there's a lot of tooth missing, sometimes they'll make a mold of the tooth first, and they'll make that backing, that blue part right here. I don't know why I turned. They'll make this blue part, they'll make a mold of that and put it behind the tooth, and they'll adhere, and so that they can put the rest of this on to make it look more natural. Because people get in accidents and stuff like that, and they lose part of their tooth. So, okay, we're gonna wrap this up real quick. But yes, that's the ones I wanted to cover on. Plus, the last thing for class 3 class 3, most of the time if you work on any anterior teeth, you're going to want to go from the lingual side, like from the inside, because we want to preserve the anterior of the face. So if any way you can help it, they're going to try to go from the inside of the mouth, not the outside. but sometimes that can't be helped, but preferably we're trying to go from the inside of the mouth, the lingual side. Okay, last question. It says, give me 2 post-operative instructions after composite restoration has been placed. Well, there is a list right here that I will read off real quickly. I know it says 2, but I'm just gonna read them all. It says, okay, if the area is numb, it is important to avoid eating or drinking until the anesthetic has worn off to prevent possible injury to your lips, tongue, and cheeks. It is normal to experience some sensitivity to pressure, heat, and sweet foods and air for several days or weeks. The larger the cavity that's been filled, the more sensitive it is. Although if it has to get, the trick with it is it has to be getting better. If the sensitivity gets worse, then they need to come in. Your gums may be sore for the following days after procedure. You can rinse with warm salt water 3 times a day or take an over-the-counter pain reliever if needed. I think they told me that when I got my molars removed. It helps prevent infections. Your filling may be shaped slightly different than your original teeth. Your tongue may magnify these small differences, but you will be accustomed to them within a few days because you are getting a new tooth in some parts of it. And daily home care will increase the longevity of your new filling. You should resume regular brushing and flossing immediately to keep the tooth free of plaque buildup and decay. Because in dentistry, nothing is forever, and we kind of want to take care of it. Because if you don't take care of your teeth, even fake teeth, they will not do good. And the next one is, if you experience persistent pain or sensitivity to the norm or bite or sharpness on the tooth after your procedure, it's important to contact your doctor's office for assistance. And something not on this list that I saw in another person's postoperative is you do want to kind of avoid smoking, because apparently you can burn, since you can't really feel, you can accidentally burn yourself. Even if you are a very avid smoker, which I would not recommend, you can accidentally burn yourself because you're still numb. I guess that's it for today's video. So thank you for listening. Bye.